Hello everyone and welcome to another episode, especially episode 81, a guide to the European Legacy Masters of
In Response,
a legacy podcast.
I'm Philip Klein
I am Daniel.
And I'm Peter Plank.
and we're talking about Legacy,
Most of the time.
and especially this time.
You are listening to In Response, a legacy podcast. A show where three handsome guys talk about their favorite Magic the Gathering format, Legacy.
I'm Peter Plank, the artificer. I've got everything at hand in my Goblin Welder's toolbox.
I am Daniel, the scientist. I ponder precisely about the next move that decides the fate of my opponents.
I'm Philip Klein, the rogue. I use the graveyard to fuel opponents with agony.
And now, lean back and enjoy.
So, like the title already suggests, this episode we are talking about the European Legacy Masters and basically what that means for you as a potential player, or maybe just a bystander or a viewer, because this event is probably one of the biggest events for legacy play in the whole of Europe.
Exactly. It's this episode airs, it's happening tomorrow, basically. The European Legacy Masters is a qualifying only event. Is it 64 players? Peter, you know it better.
We should have at around 110 players.
110 players, okay.
It's like you had the chance to qualify in like 24, 25 countries. And we had a lot of qualifiers, like around 100 tournaments with one or some with multiple slots. We had tournaments, we had leagues. I think there should be around 8,000 participating players all over this invitation style qualifying structure. So, yeah.
So if you never heard about European Legacy Masters, it's the third iteration right now, and it's your turn now to tune in. So in this episode you will get a crash course for the European Legacy Masters, where to find it, what's the prize pool, how's the about our top players that we find you have to look out for. So at first, I think what is there to say else about the European Legacy Master? I think it's in Bologna at the Four Seasons tournament.
Exactly, yeah. It's in the summer iteration now of the Four Seasons. It's in September, and it takes place on the Saturday as a special additional event, as said, invitational only. It will be live streamed, so you can see the action also there. And they battle it out for some amazing, nice prizes, and of course to win the title of the European Legacy Champion of.
And if I probably have already forgotten it, but when this episode airs, it's tomorrow. So tune in. It's tomorrow.
Yeah, I already said this. Yeah.
Okay. I totally.
So to go a little bit into the prize pool, I mean, it's basically like we have something for each of the players. So from proudly sponsors, we have like a goodie bag for every player that participates in the tournament. It's like one thing from us. Again, we have playdesk stools with places all over Europe, made for each of the players.
By the community, for the community. They are exceptionally beautiful. The scenery on all those dual lands is amazing. So really props to all of our photographers. They're on the bottom, like when on the artist bottom, and props to all of them. It's just great scenery.
It's a very cool, nice bling that you can earn yourself by participating, by getting to qualify for this event. I think it's, it also fosters what the European Legacy Masters is about, and we as the Austrian Legacy League, of course, also is by normalizing proxies. We said this numerous times.
Oh my God, did you really set this? Normalize proxies?
Yes.
Or to say it play test cards that are distinguishable from real cards.
Yeah, that's true.
And yeah, besides our proxies and the entry for them, for sure for the top 8, we have a very, very beautifully playmat sponsored by Boozer. And yeah, this one just looks amazing. You will see it in the YouTube video, or if you are on Spotify or any other podcasting site, just go onto the internet, search European Legacy Masters, and go into the price tab on the website. You see it there. It's simply amazing.
I think the tip on the most prime thing to earn is, of course, a special designed painting that the first player will be rewarded.
You mean Eternal Weekend, am I right?
No. Not this time.
Basically, we stole the idea from or the European Legacy Masters stole the idea from Eternal Weekend, and they commissioned a painting, or Four Seasons did commission the painting for the European Legacy Masters by Florinda Zanetti.
I think they commissioned the painting to make tokens or something like that, and then they heard like, wait, what? No painting for Eternal Weekend. We got your back. And they basically sponsored the painting for the European Legacy Masters. And yeah, we basically gladly accepted it because it's like simply amazing to have a painting for the first place winner of the tournament.
Yeah, that's very nice. And for certain memorizable gifts that you will earn and decorate your rooms with. I think it's very amazing. It could actually be... What kind of token would it actually be? I think it could be a dragon token.
Yeah.
I would use it for a dragon
even,
token.
I mean, you could also use it as a construct.
Or as a clue.
Yeah.
Or a clue, yeah, that's true. Maybe even a treasure. Because it looks like...
A dragon?
It's a
yeah,
dragon.
a dragon, but maybe a blueprint or something on a sheet of paper.
Yeah, yeah.
You could imagine it like that, but it's insanely beautiful. Florinda Zanetti is a great artist, so check her out. We will put her tags in the show notes.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, we said like, there's a prize pool, you get some stuff when you go there, you have to qualify for it, but what matters for most of the time is like, who the fuck takes it down? And for myself, there only comes 2 players in my mind.
You're real right now?
Yeah, it's Fabian Schweighöfer and Patrick Queni.
You mean the only 2 Austrians? Basically, a little bit of context here. We in Austria had this, for this iteration of the European Legacy Masters, we had 6 slots to give out, yeah? And one of them in the Austrian Legacy League, one of them in the Austrian Legacy Masters, Austrian Legacy Season End Tournament, 2 in Vienna at the 3x1 and 1 in Graz. And basically what happened is we got 4 of the 6 slots stolen from around Europe.
Unfortunately, yeah.
So what that means is we certainly have to improve as players in Austria so that this can't happen again.
But to be fair, we had one player in particular from our local playing group that basically lost 3 finals in a row for qualifying 12.
That's really, that's some karma kind of. Would think to myself, this really bad luck.
I mean, he cried himself with some dual lands. Yeah. So it was a
Oh no!
It's like that reminds me of the GIF that I've seen. It's from a film or from a movie, and where this guy lies on the ground and just dries his eyes with dollar bills.
Yeah, exactly.
I can imagine Marcus. That's the name of the guy. Exactly like that.
Not too shabby still. That's a couple of dual lands to earn in these days. Not too bad. But those are the players that we certainly want to see in the top 8 or maybe even to win this event. Yeah. So we were rooting, of course, for Fabian and for Patrick on this Saturday.
Yeah.
ELM
These
event.
are our honorable mentions.
Exactly.
Because though we really would love for them to go insanely far, maybe take down the whole tournament with their beloved decks, because Fabian is pretty well known in our community for playing Strifeful Pile.
Yeah.
It's his personal favorite. He always updates the deck according to what Strifo is doing. So he's very close with them. I think also in contacts over Discord and so on. Patrick is a little bit of he tries different things, but usually he played Painter, he played 8-cast, he played Tempo Strategies, something like that. I could imagine that maybe he tries Blue-Black Tempo.
Yeah, probably.
Like
He more leans into the grinding road. He tries to play the best deck and tries to play it optimally.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and most of the time he favors like a little bit of tempo, but not the really aggressive tempo decks. A little bit slowed down. Yeah. I think he can do some stuff, even though his priorities are currently in the near future a little bit shifting, because he or his wife is soon to be expecting. So we really hope
nice.
that it's not in the near future, so we can drive home to Bologna.
But this would of course be a very pleasant interruption for this kind of thing if this happens.
It's always great to have a new Magic player in the world, especially if it's a legacy player.
A new legacy player coming.
15 years in the waiting.
So then the child of Patrick would be a third choice that we would have for this ELM. No.
But yeah, for real, I mean, the competition is fierce.
Yeah.
So we've handpicked our top 8 that will try to neuter all of the efforts from our Austrians to really go far into the European Legacy Masters. And I think we can start with the top 8. These are not in a ranking or something, so
just picked from our
our perspective, from our feelings, that these are the players to watch out, and these are probably the ones where we personally think these have the best shot at winning this tournament. And I think one of the strongest countries in the whole field is for sure
Austria.
No, almost. It's for sure
I agree, Peter.
Bella Italia.
Bella Italia. I mean, they have the advantage of they have their own tournament and their own season. It's like when you play a football game, but you have your own stadium. You have an advantage, right?
You have the home advantage.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, Italian players are quite good. They have very different. They are, I think, the biggest community in Europe.
Probably, I'm also pretty sure. Yeah.
And we have players like Claudio Bonanni, for example, from the Wooded team, famously known if you're following the legacy meta game in Europe a little bit. He likes to play any sort of control deck. Usually, sometimes when it's bad, he switches to Delver.
Yeah.
I've seen him playing Ruck Delver in 1 or 2 4 seasons before, but.
He's actually a pretty insane player.
Yeah.
He managed now to qualify for the European Legacy Masters for the 3rd time in a row.
Exactly, yeah.
He also has a GP win under his belt. So he's certainly a force to expect.
Exactly. Yeah. What is the next one? Oh,
then we have, I think, another Italian, another control enthusiast.
Is the control enthusiast.
It's like if he could, his eyes would light up with a U and a W. It's Angelo Cadei.
Do you know why he's the control guy? Actually,
no.
Do you know
I think it's in prehistoric times.
I'm not super sure if this is all correct, but what I heard, and maybe you can correct me, or maybe the listeners can correct me, but I think from what I know is that he's actually the creator of Miracles.
Yeah, as far as I know,
counter top.
It's
Philipp Schön.
There are some people that are credited with it, but as far as I know, there were a group of people that consisted of Philipp Schönecker, Angelo Cadei, and a couple of other guys. It's insanely long ago, actually.
Yeah.
But basically, they invented Miracles, and especially Angelo was always pretty known for his red splash. Because he always loved to play Jeskai control or to play Miracles with a red splash. I think also that if I remember correctly, Angelo was the one, the first player who played Miracles with sideboard Pyroblast and Blood Moon.
Okay.
So who invented the red splash in the original blue-white Miracles list.
And I think he played, this Miracles deck. Even Top was banned for a pretty long time afterwards, still, because he refused to go into another direction. He still played his counterbalance. I think he tried Portent and other stuff.
Soothsaying and all those shitty cards.
He wanted to make it still, keep it going and then keep it alive.
And he was pretty much the only person to really had some kind of success with this kind of list.
Yeah.
Which certainly speaks for the player itself.
Exactly,
Yeah. If I remember correctly, I'm a little bit taking one player up front. It's like, I think we had him on the cast on the last one. Our next player to watch is Johannes Gutbrot. And
He's also
he
pretty known for that,
basically also another control player.
Yeah.
So
I think he also was part of this group at some point.
because he talked like with the mentor Day Shell, I think he talked about Angelo Cadet.
Yes.
That he was like successful with it and he basically adapted it. So like those are the players of the old generation.
And it's a good, as you mentioned, Johannes Gutbrot is on our list. He's also qualified. The ALM, the Austrian Legacy Masters,
Was won by him, yeah.
won by him. So he, actually the Austrian Legacy Masters, the main event. He will also be for sure on. I would expect some shell of control for Legacy, and he's also formerly known for big and very good Miracles player.
Yeah. So maybe he will get his terminus and will show it to us.
Exactly.
Probably, yeah.
Who else do we have?
We had, sorry to interrupt here, but we had Johannes Gutbrot as a guest on our podcast. I think it's
True, yeah.
two or three episodes before this. So if you want to learn more about him, or if you want to get into his deck building decisions or into his mind, simply watch or listen to that episode.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we come up with the next player again
And the
from
Italian
Italy. We have Manuel Drudi.
Yeah. Pretty set in stone, I would say. He's pretty well, maybe not broadly known, but he's the inventor of Scaminator.
It's Easy Money Marksman, am I right?
Yeah. The deck that formerly invaded Legacy. We'll see how this goes.
For sure. I
Very,
mean,
very
it's
good
still-
player. I think he's very active on Magic Online and also in the Four Seasons tournaments, I would expect.
Yeah, for sure. And if I remember correctly, right now he is on his 7th trophy or something in the preparation for the European Legacy Masters. So
Yeah. Pretty
really strong player. I played against him 2 years ago
okay.
or last year
in the Four Seasons event.
in the Four Seasons on stream, and he totally demolished me. So great player, great person all around. Was great to talk with him. Also very how do you say this? Polite player.
Yeah.
And also really strong player.
But yeah, we close the Italian group out now with the fourth one from Italy, the fifth of our top 8 to watch, and it's Matteo Plassi.
Yeah, pretty overall strong performing Delver player usually of some sort, or let's say tempo strategies in Legacy. He did win some Four Seasons, one or two events of Four Seasons, I think.
I think, yeah.
So just a typical spike, I would say. Yeah. A grinder, very potent and strong player. Definitely not somebody you should not try to mess around with. So.
Oh, for sure not. Yeah. All the Italians are just to fear actually.
Yeah, the Italian also have like a pretty hard way to qualify. For the ELM, if I remember correctly, there are like 3 slots for like a Player of the Year, which gets all over Italy from various different leagues. They get assigned points. If you get some trophies, you get assigned points, and the best 3 of those get qualified, for example, and a few other like not that easy tournaments to conquer. So it's the Italian they get through.
Yeah,
those are good.
It's also, as far as I know, they put everything, all of these leagues, into a invitational tournament.
Yeah.
And whoever wins this gets the slot, so that you don't simply have to win a league that spans maybe a whole or half a year. You also have to win the invitational. So that's pretty insane to get qualified in Italy.
Yeah.
Or you have to win a 4 seasons tournament or something with 300 or more players. So this to get qualified in Italy is one of the hardest things you can do.
Yeah.
So we have now a non-Italian, non-German player. It's actually one of my picks to watch, because usually if he is in the mood, he's gonna perform really, really great. A fellow Fnatic fan. It's Matt Brown from the United Kingdom, not States. He's basically a Cloud Post and Lance expert, but he divides to other decks if he has to do. But usually those are basically his ground. I think he was with Lance in the top 8 of the last Legacy GP ever in Bologna, 2019. And it's definitely a really, really strong player.
Yeah, Matt Brown is very focused. And if he happens to play Lance or Cloud Post, I'm pretty sure he will be on Cloud Post this time, because Cloud Post simply looks nuts.
It got a lot of new cards.
And with all of these reps under his belt and his experience playing these kind of shells,
Makes sense,
it's kind of hard for every of his opponents.
Exactly. Yeah, and the last 2 slots we definitely want to keep an eye on is that we dedicate to the formerly winners of the European Legacy Masters, as we discussed before. It is the 3rd iteration, so we have 2 winners already. The first one was won by Samuel Johacek from Slovakia, and we have 1 Czech winner, František Juda, who won last year's ELM. So we want to see how these guys, if they can win another title. Actually, 2-time winning ELM would be pretty impressive.
That's insane,
To make basically a new era.
Exactly. But those guys are quite strong. They're also pretty, I would say, still very focused, very clean players overall. From what I've seen from the coverages, you have to check this out. I think we have, it's on YouTube, I'm pretty sure, or something. The coverages from last year's ELM. Those guys played very, very nice and very well. So
for František, we really have to say he was exceptional last year, because I think on Friday, Whites of Eldraine I think came out, and he took a mono black Besiege the Mirror, basically a Stompy version, out on Saturday and won the whole thing. On the other side, Samuel Zohorczak, when he won, he was on mono white Initiative. Just when it started to come out, I think a week prior it came to MTGO and the guys tried it out, and he was on a little bit explored metagame, really there. František, completely new metagame, and this time we have kinda a longer ground, because the bannings is 2 weeks ago
now.
So, and the meta was really getting into a different state, so we're kind of in this settling meta, so it's definitely a really interesting metagame to be looking at.
But before we hop into the metagame, it would be great for you to click and subscribe. So like this episode, subscribe to our channels on Spotify, on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram, basically everywhere. You can help us out tremendously, or just tell your friends to listen or to watch our podcast. Would be great to have you here. Also, some guys that are already doing this is our Patreon. So thank you very much for Matt Duncan, Christian Neutz, and Moritz Eichmeier It's very great to have at least you guys. So be a part of it. Join the In Response guys.
This elite crew.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And now I think we can deliver you more value and hop into the expected metagame.
So yeah, for the expected metagame, we have basically also like a top 8 to watch, but we have defined 5 decks as a team together, and one of each of us members gets an honorary mention to talk about one deck that he thinks is really in there. So let's start off with the one thing that everyone expects to be really, really great.
Can I say this? Because I think it might be a different one, actually.
Yeah. I think
the
you,
one-
Daniel, have to go further here.
No, I think that the first and foremost deck that you expect currently is Eldrazi.
Yeah.
It's the number 1 deck. At the moment, it is... There has been discussions before the banning that this is heading into, well, maybe not in Legacy, but definitely Modern, for example, into a second Eldrazi winter. This is a strong statement, of course, but it performed exceptionally well also during the Grief era now, and Grief is gone now, so this was one opposing effect for the Eldrazi deck. It got so many new tools, and it's a proactive deck that is not, it's just pumping out strong creatures, outvalues your opponent, cheats on mana with the soul lands, and has lot new synergies, cast triggers. There's a whole episode actually that we did last time that you can watch of this deck. So I think this is definitely a good choice, also in a new meta game that is not evolved yet.
Yeah, also, I don't think it has any kind of really, really strong weaknesses in the meta at the moment. It's pretty much, you have game against everything. And therefore, I think there's maybe one deck that preys a little bit on it. We were going to talk a little bit further about that. But Eldrazi seems like a good choice for this.
And you have to respect it. Either you join this deck, you could pick it, or you have to have a plan against it.
For sure.
And there are other decks that, of course, Dimir still is on the menu. It's definitely
tempo.
It's one option, for example, that can, or let's say has access to tools that are great against Eldrazi.
Yeah, they can drop some big early creatures. You have some disruption. You can attack the mana base with Wasteland to cut them down in the early game. So it's
I'm specifically looking at Consign to Memory.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Consign to Memory.
This is a good sideboard card, or Harbinger of the Seas is usually also played. And what I really like, actually, I don't know if you've seen this, but Toxic Deluge
It's coming back?
It's coming back
Oh,
in
wow.
the sideboard. Because it's a good sweeper against Eldrazi. It wipes all the tokens, all big threats in once, and brings a big advantage if you...
That's
get to
funny
pull it off.
that you mention Toxic Deluge, because in my opinion, I can't attend the Bologna this time, the Four Seasons, but I thought to myself, if I want to bring Mardu Storytime back or something, maybe it's time for Plague Engineer again against Eldrazi.
Plague
But
Engineer...
I didn't thought about Toxic Deluge. It's even better.
Plague Engineer has the problem that it only deals with the
Scion
sounds,
tokens,
the science exactly, and it doesn't deal with all other threats at once, while Toxic Deluge kills everything cleanly. Yeah. So pretty good sideboard card. And another, I don't think it's too much in tempo. What I also want to throw on the table is Barrogoyf.
Oh yeah.
Sees a little bit of play as a big opposing threat against Eldrazi, just play the Barrogoyf and...
Because he has lifelink and death touch. Which is like 2 key things. It kills the big Eldrazi's and it gives you life back, because you for sure lost some in the early game against Eldrazi.
Draws you cards.
Exactly.
And it gives you card advantage.
And it's usually on average bigger than it's a Tamagotchi still. So let's say 4/5 is still 4/5, 5/6 maybe.
For sure.
It's pretty good against Eldrazi.
Then we basically have the remainder of the shell that got banned.
Yeah.
We have, as we called it,
Froginator.
Froginator.
I like that name so much more than Rescaminator, to be
Yeah.
honest, or to Scaminator, because Froginator is just really
great.
insane.
And we were the first that called it like that. Yeah, it's the same shell. Basically, they added some forces to the
Yeah,
deck.
but not four. Only
It's
two.
two or three forces.
Two Fortsies, another reanimate target, mostly Grizzlebrand.
There are some let's say minor differences in versions. What I've seen. There's the Forces route or Tamio, for example. Max Torsion won no challenge with this version.
Yeah.
Also seen sometimes just for a fatal push in the main deck, and that's it basically.
Yeah.
Instead
Because
of
it's
grief.
so good against
You know,
frog.
if you can't deal with it in the hand from the grief, the threats you have to deal with on the board.
Shoot them, yeah.
Makes also sense to include some removal spells.
Yeah.
But more reanimation targets as a singleton is also an option. And the rest is pretty the same. It's Psychic Frog, Troll, and this Entomb package.
Yeah. Then we basically have the third brother in the house to complete the tempo trio. We have Grixis Delva. It's still a good deck. It has like traditional Delva. It's like pretty fast, but with some form of like sustainability. And the key thing in the current meta is like the one clean answer besides Fatal Push to the frog.
Pyroblast.
It's Pyroblast, and Pyroblast is currently a really good card.
Yeah, I agree. I think it would be interesting to see if either Grixis Delva or this blue-black tempo ends up being a little bit better, depending on... Because Grixis Delva could also have access to something like Price of Progress, a good Zapper card against that is...
Eldrazi deck, yeah.
Yeah, that is kind of the harbinger of the C slot for blue-black. And it's kind of Nethergoyf against Delva kind of battle. And it's a question who is better in the end, because the rest is kind of similar. I don't know yet if Delva is played in all copies at all times.
Yeah.
But I think there are different versions around.
But Delva was always here. Delva will always be here, so it has to make our top 5 here.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes the Delva deck has no card named Delva, but yeah, the shell, the Xerox shell is like...
It has Dragon Switch Channel, which is pretty much a Delva.
Yeah, that's true.
It detects for 3 in the air. Delva. So then we have like the big brother of the brainstorm decks. Control is back on the menu, and this is definitely a reason to shout out like all the control experts for the players to watch. Jessica Control. We have Brain Surge and Treat the Angels.
Wait. And Brain
Terminus.
Surge really gets played?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I called
Sometimes.
it! I called it!
Not always, but sometimes, yes.
In the first lists that Callum like basically provided.
But this is, I think, blue,
white.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes they splash like a little bit of red, but it's mostly blue-white. And the key card that holds the shell together, besides Terminus,
Wrath.
or it's Wrath of the Skies.
Yeah.
Wrath of the Skies.
Together with Tune
Galvanic Discharge. Tune the Narrative.
the Narrative, yeah.
It's draw a card, you get
2
energy.
Yeah, but usually they play like 3.
Yeah, I think Tune is not a completely staple in the deck. There are versions without it, I think.
Yeah.
It's a good option if you're really gone heavy on Wrath. And Wrath is a big hit for this deck. Ursa Saga was a big problem for Jeskai in the past.
It isn't anymore, I can tell you
It
that.
is not anymore. It cleanly, it is one removal that, sometimes when you have a Terminus, sometimes when you have something like an Engineered Explosives or something like that, some sweeper effects in Jeskai colors, you only have to decide, do I want to kill the artifacts, for example, or the creatures, and rather these guys just deal with everything at once.
Yeah.
Pretty strong.
Yeah, the card is just amazing. And yeah, this is it now, a deck that can go really over the top. It plays a lot of remove spells. Usually you see around 4 Swords to Plowshares, 3 Terminus, 3 Wrath of the Skies, like a Mystic Sanctuary or 2 even. So you go really over the top. You deal with all the creatures that you do. You chase or you entreat the Ancients.
Chase.
You chase.
Sometimes,
If there is one single control deck ever that I would play, would be this.
Yeah, you pick it up.
Yeah. Jeskai control is like...
With Chase, yeah.
with Chase is like always something that I would love to play, but never had the guts to do it.
Yeah, now is the time, Phil. Now is the time. If you want to pick it up.
That the big question is, does it play Tamio? If it plays Tamio, then I'm out.
Sometimes yes, you don't have to, I think, but I would say it's
pretty good out of the board, I would say.
Yeah, maybe this, potential, because in the main deck there is the problem that as a control deck you don't want to
have creatures. You want the virtual card advantage that you
Exactly.
don't play creatures.
Exactly, yeah. And Tamio kind of is against that. But you can also protect it with Brainstorm, and it's kind of a planeswalk in that sense also. So in a win con, maybe it's still worth it to have it in the deck.
Maybe I still need 4 of them.
It's just a good card. That's the point.
Yeah,
And,
it's blue and
Exactly.
it draws you cards.
Exactly.
And it wins the game.
Pitches the force. Like all the conditions checked.
Yeah. Win condition, 1 mana blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't have to say anymore. But I think we can go over to our honorary mentions, because there are some decks that are still pretty on the rise. Also some decks that are criminally underplayed.
Yeah.
And some decks that are really going under the radar. So I think we can start off with the one that's criminally underplayed, and that I think, and we all think, will be criminally underplayed at the European Legacy Masters and at Four Seasons, because these tournaments are traditionally control heavy. And I think, Peter, what's criminally underplayed?
I mean, it's Painter. You really have to play Painter, because if you think about it,
It's always the same. Peter,
You just have to play Painter.
I mean,
always trying to negotiate with you to simply.
I mean, from my side, for this iteration of Four Seasons, I'm currently off Painter, but if
like we said, also every time Painter is good, he isn't playing Painter.
That's your Peter special.
No.
So when you're off Painter, we know it's good.
yeah,
So it's
exactly.
good, yeah.
No, if you look at the top 5 decks that we basically talked about, like with Blue Black Tempo, Frogginate, Eldrazi, Jeskai, Grixis, it seems like every of those should be kind of okay. You play like nowadays in Paint, you play 7 blasts main, 1 blast sideboard, because like Blue and Psychic Frog is so good. But it seems fine. You roll over Jeskai Control or something like that, because like 7 blasts or 8. But I mean, the other 4 decks are kind of good, because like Eldrazi, you turn off Eye of Ugin and Eldrazi Temple when you play a Painter. Nowadays, a few players are moving up to 6 moon effects in the sideboard, so you have a lot of outs against the land-based strategies. But Jeskai Control is just a loss. You can't deal with Wrath of the Skies.
That's a big problem, yeah.
Yeah.
The weak spot for the deck, because it has pretty good game against the other favorites that we mentioned so far. I think if you dodge control, and that's the question, how well is but maybe we can, I have some thoughts on this actually.
Yeah. For the ELM, because we said like, players out to watch, we have a few control players out there.
Yeah.
So I think we can expect some of them on Jeskai, or some of them maybe straight on blue-white control. So maybe there it isn't really that good of a choice. But for a more open tournament with more like casual players where you can play with your experience, Painter seems like a great fit for.
That's true.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but yeah.
Up to the next deck, or do you want to share?
It kind of enables. Well, I think we see for the top decks, and this this is a question that I think a painter player has to ask also, is we have this trifecta now of tempo decks that are good against usually Eldrazi, for example.
Yeah.
And then we have Eldrazi good against Chesskate control.
Yeah.
And then we have Chesskate control good against the tempo decks. And it's kind of this mix. And then the question is, how good would over-the-top version of control deck, some Beanstalk variant would be? On top of that, I think Beanstalk has the advantage over Chesskate. And the question is, however, how good is it against the tempo decks and Eldrazi also? It can be quite challenging from how it feels like. But if they manage to do so, then I think Painter also has to consider that. Because if Beanstalk is also in the meta, it's also not the best for Painter.
Yeah. Beanstalk is traditionally a kind of bad fit for Painter. There were some tries to fix the matchup. It is not really there. The one thing that is kind of hoping in the meta for Painter is like with Chesskate control, with especially Wrath of the Skies coming around and some control players wanting to switch over because this one sweeper is so good. You can't really play any more Beanstalks because you sweep them up.
In that case, yes. But still think that some variant of Beanstalk would be something that I would expect. Either it is a mid-range deck like Bug Beanstalk or a control version also with...
Like 4-color.
Exactly, with the white splash. I am curious to see how this fits all into this tempo Eldrazi and Chesskate meta
Triangle.
game. Yeah, triangle kind of. If there are some versions who can make it work, or if it just falls off the table for now.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Bug Beanstalk.
And what is the real best deck to watch out for?
You can take the deck now out of the garbage bin and present.
No, not really, because it's different from what we have written down here. At first I wanted
But it's an
to
honorable
say
mention.
Blue Dredge because
I actually never seen any of these decks.
You mean you
Monopoly
then
deck.
brainstorm with like Dredge or something like that, am I right?
yeah, it's basically Mahfouz van Gogh has built
Is
I
this
think last year or something a blue-black version of Dredge with forces, and I think he also plays Stasis right now. So it's a pretty strange, and he has pretty good success with the deck.
Okay.
But I think he's the only one basically that can really play this kind of deck.
Would you
Because
play
it
this
feels
deck?
no, it feels totally different.
Okay.
But my honorable mention here, horrible mention.
Horrible mention.
No,
This was the deck before, yeah.
yeah, this was the deck before, the honorable mention. Because combo was always oppressed by grief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And
true.
now combo is free to reign again. And in my opinion, one of the big winners of this banning is Doomsday.
I agree.
Doomsday
Yes.
is now able to play not only the One Ring with grief protection because there is no grief anymore. It's also able to play Psychic Frog, the best thing that you can do. And basically, it's the same with Rescaminator before. You have the really strong plan B in playing just to the board, play Frog and simply attack, draw some cards, and then just win with Doomsday out of nowhere. Basically with a stacked hand, with forces, with all the with information from your opponent, with all the counters. And I think Doomsday is in a really nice spot right now because also I don't think Eldrazi is playing a Chalice main deck.
Yeah, they are.
Are they? Okay.
Yeah. It's a chalice deck. Yeah. But still, Doomsday has ways to play around.
Yeah,
It's-
that's
You can
that's
Doomsday
consign
should
to
be
memory the trigger.
pretty good matchup against Eldrazi, I think. Yeah.
that's
And
also
that-
true because you can play Consign to Memory. So
And that's the reason why Eldrazi has 3 Mind Break Trap in the sideboard, for example, to combat something like Doomsday. It's just overall, very potent deck also to keep in mind.
So don't be surprised if you ran into Doomsday suddenly, or if your blue-black frog player suddenly goes, Dark Ritual Doomsday. This might be game over for you.
Exactly.
I think. Do we have anything to add here?
Yeah.
I think that's it.
The frog can draw you into your Doomsday pile.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Also, that's also pretty great. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. The frog and also Tamiyo. There's some versions that play Tamiyo as well. Can also draw you into the pile.
Or give you return your Doomsday back to your hand.
Something
or
like
your
that.
force back to your hand if you want a Doomsday. So there's just so many things you can suddenly do with Doomsday. So keep an eye out for this. I think now we can wrap this episode up. If you like what we are doing, consider following us on social media. It's @response_legacy. Click and like and subscribe on Spotify and on YouTube, please. It helps us really a great portion to reach more players with our thoughts and our content. And you can find me on social media. I'm Philip Klein, Finnick MTG, PHINEK MTG.
You can find me also on Twitter. It is @FlyingDelver.
And me on Twitter, it's @UnicornLord, but the O in the Lord is a 0.
Good luck at the European Legacy Masters to all the players, and see you next time.
Or in the stream. In response, the end.
This was In Response, a Legacy podcast. If you enjoyed the ride, feel free to support the show by following, leaving a review, or subscribe on patreon.com/response_legacy.